Staying afloat. Taking action and meeting her HP halfway keeps her on top of the water. I had difficulty believing in a higher power after losing my son Nathaniel in 1998 due to a premature birth. I held him immediately as he came out of my womb, telling him how much he was loved by me and everyone else in his family and by God. I was very grateful I had that brief time with my son alive. After he died, my belief in God turned into an empty void. I turned to drinking for the next 9 years. When I finally came back into AA, I used the group as my HP and called other members on the phone constantly. One day I was not able to reach a single soul and I had a strong urge to drink. I reluctantly said a half-hearted prayer to God. Immediately, my desire to drink was lifted. I started relying more and more on this unknown HP, but could not adopt any religion that worshipped a single deity. Still, I knew there must be something because I saw evidence of it over and over again in my life. Over the years, my concept of God has developed and grown with the help of my very wise and loving parents, sisters, brother, my sponsor Sherry, and many, many others. I hope my concept will help those who are struggling to get past step 2. God, as I understand it, is like the warm, beautiful blue water of the Caribbean. When I'm in the ocean, the water completely surrounds me, giving me peace, serenity, warmth, comfort, and filling me with gratitude to be alive. When I move an arm or leg, it doesn't leave an empty space. The water stays right there with me. You can displace water, but it does not disappear. It just expands its reach as it continues to surround you. A dear friend asked, "Why do I have to tread water to stay afloat?" I thought about it before I replied, because unless you recognize the natural buoyancy powers of water and then utilize them, you will sink, which is what happens when you ask your higher power for help. One does not work without the other. HP can't do it alone unless you open yourself up to it and have already accepted that you can't do it alone. God is always there and ready to work with us so we can stay afloat. He, she, there is no gender to God in my concept, does not get mad at you if you don't use its power and sink. HP is patient and waits for you to open your mind and start understanding your part in it. As soon as you do and start moving, your HP immediately starts lifting you up to the surface. If you never get to that point, you most certainly will sink. However, even then his love lifts you up to light. The higher power is completely unconditional in his love at all times. We just have to ask for his help and start taking action, or as we say in AA, you have to do the footwork, but leave the results up to God. The same principle applies to having a spiritual awakening, though it differs from person to person. To some it comes slowly, to others it comes like a bolt of lightning. I think of it as immersing a completely sealed box with you inside it in the ocean. The water surrounds the box, but not you, because you have not opened yourself to even the slightest possibility of a higher power. Once you become open and willing, you might poke little holes into the box and let a slow stream of water in. Then again, others might just burst open the box with the hatchet and get a big rush of water into their box. One last thing, I substitute the word love for the word God. Love is the origin of all that's good in the universe, whereas hate is the source of all that's evil. Newton, for example, loved the world and was open to understanding it. Therefore, when the apple fell from the tree and hit him on the head, he was able to broaden his mind, tried to understand why it had happened, and thus discovered gravitational force. Had he hated the world and everything in it, he would have taken an axe and chopped down that apple tree. The water as love concept is also a good analogy for me because we humans are made of something like 90% water. We're also filled mostly with love. When we stop fighting and resisting the power within us and outside of us, we gain peace, love, wisdom, and harmony. Whenever I'm down, resentful, treating people abruptly, or troubled over some problem, be it lack of employment or starting up my chainsaw, I open myself to the love of my higher power. Then I'm able to think clearly and rationally. With the presence of a higher power in my life, like floating in the warm, beautiful blue ocean, I'm able to approach conflicts with people in daily living in a much more calm, loving, open, and productive way. Anonymous.